Hi, this is Alfozia Nihar from At Home Tuition. Welcome to our session today. The topic that we're going to discuss in our today's video is X and Y intercept. Let us see the introduction of the X and Y intercept first. The X intercepts are the points on the X-axis where the graph of the function crosses or touches the axis. They occur when Y is equal to 0. Same way, the Y-intercept is the point at which the graph of the function crosses the y-axis. It occurs where x is equal to 0. This is called y-intercept. Any function can have multiple x-intercept but can have only one y-intercept, single y-intercept. So, if you are asked to find the x-intercept, set y is equal to 0 and solve the equation for x. Same way, if you are asked to find the y-intercept, set x is equal to 0 and solve the equation for y. Hope you all are familiar with the equation of line. Yes, equation of line is equal to y is equal to mx plus b. Let me take this as an example and show you how to find the x and y intercept. Okay. So first let me solve for y intercept. Solving for y intercept is nothing but setting x is equal to 0. I am replacing x by 0. 0 times anything is 0. So the y-intercept would be equal to the constant in the equation of line. Does this make sense to you? Okay, I'm going to use the same equation of line and show you how to solve for x-intercept. Let me replace y by 0 because if you are asked to solve for x-intercept, you have to set y is equal to 0 and solve for the x in any equation. Now I'm going to get rid of this constant. I'm going to shift this to the left side by subtracting b from both these sides and dividing the entire equation throughout by m. I'll be getting an equation isolated x on one side of the equation. Dividing both these sides by m. You can also keep this as a formula in case if you're asked to find the x-intercept using the equation of any line. Hope you're clear with the steps. Therefore, we can come to a conclusion. The x-intercept is where the graph crosses the x-axis. The word intercept looks like the word intersect. Am I right? Think of it as where the graph intersects the x-axis. Keeping that word in mind, what value is y always going to be on the x-intercept? So no matter where you're on the x-axis, y's value is 0. That is a constant. So we will use that bit of information to help us and find the x-intercept. Same way, if the x-intercept is where the graph crosses the x-axis, where do you think the graph crosses for the y-intercept? If you set the y-axis, you are absolutely right. This time, it is x values. So x value has to be equal to 0 here. Anywhere you would cross the y-axis. X value is always 0. We will use this to help us find the y-intercept. Okay, let me show you an illustration of a graph of a linear function which will highlight the x and y-intercept. Please look at this graph. In this illustration, the x-intercept is 4, 0 and the y-intercept is 0, 3. So please keep in mind that the x and y-intercepts are two separate points. There is only one point that can be both an x and y-intercept at the same time. Do you know what point that is? Yes, that is origin, 0, 0. So, this is the point where both x and y-intercept be the same point. Otherwise, x-intercept and y-intercept are different points. That are two different separate points. Hope you're clear with this concept. So, to determine the x-intercept, we set y equal to 0 and solve for x. Similarly, to determine the y-intercept, we set x is equal to 0 and solve for y. Okay, let me take few examples. Here is an example. Please look at the equation of the line y is equal to 3x minus 1. So let us first find the x-intercept. To find the x-intercept, set y is equal to 0 first. I am replacing y by 0. Now let us solve for x. Add 1 on both these sides and divide the entire equation throughout by 3. So x is equal to, always give your intercepts in pairs of x and y. Don't just mention x is equal to 1 over 3. Here, x-intercept would be 1 over 3, 0. The x-coordinate comes first always and y is the second coordinate. Now let us find the y-intercept. To find y-intercept, we are going to set x is equal to 0. Replacing x by 0, you will be getting y is equal to -1. So the y-intercept would be 0, -1. If you look at the graph of this one, you can confirm that our results make sense. So always try to graph the x and y intercepts. Notice that the graph should cross the axis where we predicted here. Let me show you one example using the graphing parabola form. Before that, let me give you the standard form of the parabola. This form is called vertex form. Now let me show you how to find y and x intercepts using this form of equation. Here is an example. Let us start with y-intercept. To find the y-intercept, we find the y value when x is equal to 0. As I mentioned already, y-intercept is very straightforward and it will be only one y-intercept for any type of equation. Now let us replace x by 0. 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 the whole square is 4. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8 plus 3. That would be negative 5. Am I right? Therefore, our y-intercept for this vertex form of equation is 0, negative 5. Now let us find the x-intercept. To find the x-intercept, we know that we are going to set y is equal to 0 and solve for x. You can solve for x by using the square root principle, or we generally use the quadratic formula. No, you can use that if it is not possible. So you can simplify the problem into correct form. Replace x by 0. This is y-intercept, so set y is equal to 0. I'm going to isolate this part and shift all the other terms to the left side of the equation, just like solving for x. And then I'm going to get rid of the square and then this expression within the parenthesis. Completely we are going to isolate x. Divide both the sides by negative 2. Taking square root on both the sides, we have to get rid of the square. So I'm taking square root on both the sides. Square root of any positive number would give you, yes, plus or minus sign. Subtracting 2 from both these sides. If you want, you can convert this into decimals. But it is not a problem even if you keep this as a square root itself. Since intercepts are the points on the graph, I always prefer to convert everything into decimals. So I'm using a calculator to find the value. Please notice that we have 2 signs in between. That's why I stressed here we are going to write 2 signs before this. Because whenever you're dealing with a quadratic equation, I mean any x raised to the power 2. So if that is the case, you have to put a plus or minus sign before the constant if you're taking the square root. So you'll be getting 2 values, 2 x-intercepts here. So if you're using plus and minus, I'm getting negative 0.78 and negative 3.22. So these are the 2 values I'm getting for x here. I'm rounding off the numbers to 2 decimals. That's the reason I have written approximately equal to, not equal to symbol here. So x-intercepts here are negative 0.78, 0 and negative 3.22, 0. Hope you're clear with this example. Equations can be of any type. It can be an equation of a line, parabola, rational function, polynomial function. It can be any equation. The concept is same. If you are going to find the y-intercept, set the opposite variable, the other variable to 0 and solve for the variable that you are asked. I mean, if you are supposed to find the y-intercept, set x is equal to 0 and solve for y. If you are supposed to find the y-intercept, so it is the same thing, vice versa. So far we discussed 2 different examples. One example is under the topic equation of line. So second example is of the vertex form. Now I have taken one example which is of the rational function type. So here is the example, x plus 10 over x minus 5. To find the y-intercept, we must substitute 0 for each of the x. So we'll be getting, so you must know that f of x and y denotes the same thing. Okay. So replacing x by 0, you'll be getting 10 over negative 5, which is equal to negative 2. So f of x, which is nothing but y. So there is a y-intercept at 0, negative 2. Notice that 0 is the x coordinate because on the y-axis. Okay, x is equal to 0. Now let's find the x-intercept. We must substitute in 0 for y for f of x. Okay, so 0, I'm going to show that on the right side. So you can compare both. Now you can easily solve by doing the cross multiplication. Multiply both these sides by x minus 5. So you'll be getting 0 on the left side and the denominator gets cancelled out on the right side. You'll be left over with x plus 10. So x plus 10 is equal to 0. Subtracting 10 from both these sides, you'll be getting x is equal to negative 10. There is a y-intercept at negative 10, 0. Notice that 0 is the y-coordinate because on the x-axis y is equal to 0. For any rational function, it is not necessary that the function has to be so simple like this. You may also get different types of equations in numerator and denominator. So according to the given type of equation, you can proceed with the x and y intercept. But the basic concept is same. If you're going to find y, replace x is equal to 0. If you're going to find x, you can replace y is equal to 0. Same thing. Also, please notice that not all rational functions have both an x and y intercept. If you cannot find a real solution, it means it does not have the intercept at all. Hope you're clear with this concept. So this is the case for rational function only. This is all about the x and y intercept basics. In case if you get any query regarding this topic, kindly let me know.